Hello everyone, my name is Hubert and welcome to Teach Me channel. Today we will be learning all about GCSE Maths basic trigonometry. Now this is a big topic and a lot of people are scared of it, but it's not as bad as some people make it out to be. It just requires some proper understanding, so I will show you everything. I will show you how to do basic trigonometry. So without further ado, let's get started. Now, the first thing we need to cover is Pythagoras Theorem. Now, the name sounds a bit weird, but Pythagoras Theorem was invented by ancient Greek mathematician and philosopher Pythagoras. Now, what he found was that when you have a triangle, right-angled triangle, it has to be a right-angled triangle. When you have a right-angled triangle, if you label your sides, like this, doesn't matter which way these two go. So if you have A, B, and C. Now, if you were to make squares out of these sides, something like this. If you were to make squares like this, equal. I know these are not perfect squares, but just to show you the point. If you were to do something like this, now, this square plus this square would be equal to this square. The area of this square plus area of this square would be equal to this area. Now we can use this interesting rule to figure out the length of the sides of that triangle. So, what is Pythagoras' theorem? Pythagoras' theorem goes like this. A squared plus B squared is equal to C squared. And we can rearrange that formula the same way we would rearrange any algebraic formula. So say if we know C and B, we can rearrange this formula to find A, So let's do a quick little example. So we have a little triangle here, something like this. And it always has to be right-angled triangle for Pythagoras' theorem to apply. Always has to be right-angled triangle. So we have 2 centimeters here. We have 6 centimeters here. Sorry guys. Okay. If we have 2 centimeters here, we have 6 centimeters here. Now, what is this side? What's the side C? Okay, well, let's apply Pythagoras' theorem. So, A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Let's copy that down. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Now, let's plug in the numbers. So, this is A, this is B. So, 6 squared plus 2 squared equals C squared. Now let's find these squares. So 6 times 6 is 36 plus 2 squared is 4. So 36 plus 4 is 40. However, this is C squared. Now this is a very, very common mistake. You gotta be careful here. So 40 is the value for C squared. But now we need to find the value for C. So the final step we need to take is to find the value of C. We need to find a root of 40. Now that works out to be something like this. About 6.32 centimeters. And that's it. We have worked out the length of the hypotenuse of this triangle to to be 6.32 centimeters. Using Pythagoras' theorem. Pythagoras' theorem applies to right-angled triangles, and it allows us to find the lengths of sides of the triangle. So that's how it's useful. However, this theorem is not able to show us anything to do with angles of a triangle. It only concerns the triangle sides. So the next thing we need to cover is trigonometry formulas. So this is what we're gonna get onto now. There we go. One sec. Okay. So these are trigonometry formulas. Now, in order to understand them, I will go through all of it, but in order to understand them, let's have a look at a triangle. So we have a triangle that goes something like this. Okay. And so here we have a angle x. That angle can be anywhere, but we're just using this angle as an example. Here we have a right angle. Here we have angle x. And now, here we have 3 trigonometry formulas that we can use to help us find angle or sides, depending on the information we are given. So we have sine. We can find sine x, which is equal to opposite side divided by hypotenuse. So, what does it mean? What does it mean? Well, opposite side is a side opposite to angle x. So not this one, the opposite side, this one, the one that does not touch angle x. So this is opposite side, I will label it as O. Hypotenuse is the slanted side. It's always the slanted side that does not touch the right angle triangle. That does not touch the right angle. Sorry, it does not touch the right angle. So I'm gonna label that hypotenuse. It's the slanted side. So sine x is equal length of this side divided by this side. Now, cosine of x is adjacent side divided by hypotenuse. Adjacent side is the side that touches the angle x. So it will be this side. So that is adjacent side. And so adjacent side divided by hypotenuse is equal to cosine of angle x. Tan of angle x is equal to opposite side divided by adjacent side. So we have 3 formulas to choose from, depending on what information we are given. Okay, so how on earth do you even remember all of this? How on earth can you remember all these formulas? Before we get on to using them, how can you remember this? Well, you need to remember a very, very important phrase. You might have heard it before. It is so kach Torah. Now, what does it mean? Well, it's a little code word that we can use to figure out which of these formulas, which way they go. So, soch is sine, opposite, divided by hypotenuse. Kach is cosine, adjacent, divided by hypotenuse. Torah is tan, opposite, divided by adjacent. So that's what we can use to try and remember these formulas. So now let's get on to how to actually use these. How to actually use these in our calculations. Well, there are 2 basic ways we can use trigonometry formulas. The first thing we can do with them is we can apply these formulas to figure out the angle of a triangle. So let's take this example. So we have a triangle like this. Again, right angle triangle goes something like this. And we know that this side is 8 centimeters long, and this side we know is 10 centimeters long. And this is angle we don't know. This is angle X that we need to figure out. Okay, so if we want to figure out the angle, which formula are we going to start with? Well, we need to start with a formula that hits the most information that we have. In this case, we need to know both sides in order to figure out the angle. So we know the opposite side, right? And we know hypotenuse. So let's see. So we need to use sine formula because we have the opposite side and we have the hypotenuse. So let's stick to that formula. I'm going to copy it down here. So sine x is equal to opposite divided by hypotenuse. I shortened it down here. So what is that? Well, opposite is 8 centimeters and hypotenuse is 10 centimeters. So sine x is equal to 8 divided by 10, which is, of course, 0.8. So what do we do next? Well, we're kind of close, because now we know that sine x is equal to 0.8. So how do we work out the angle? Well, to work out the angle, once we get to this point when we know what sine x is equal to, we know what sinus of x is equal to, but now we need to reverse it. How do we reverse it? Well, we use the inverse of sine, and that will be on your calculator. You will find this on your calculator. You might have to press the shift or the secondary button in order to access it, but in order to find x, it is equal to sine minus 1, this is the inverse sine of 0.8. And if you do that, you will see that x is equal to 53.13 degrees to 2 decimal places. There will be more places, but this is what it's equal to. Okay, so that's one basic application of trigonometry formulas. But what if we wanted to find out so here we found out the angle, but what if we wanted to use these formulas to find out the side? Now, I am going to continue on the next page. Here we go. So we have a triangle like this. Okay, so this angle is 3 centimeters. Here we have 40 degrees Celsius. Sorry, not 40 degrees Celsius. What am I talking about? Here we have 3 centimeters. Here we have 40 degrees. Okay. So here we have a side. Here we have an unknown side. Side X, let's call it. And this is what we want to find out. This is the side we want to find out from having only angle given to us, and only one of the sides is given to us. So if we have only one side given to us, we cannot really do Pythagoras Theorem. So we have to use one of the trigonometry formulas. So what are we going to use here? Well, going back to Pythagoras, we know the opposite, we want to know the adjacent, and we have the angle. So what links all of these? What links all the information we know with what we don't know? Well, if we go back to Pythagoras, tan 40 degrees, tan of 40 degrees is equal to opposite divided by adjacent. So it is equal to opposite divided by adjacent, which is equal to opposite 3 divided by adjacent. So we got this far. Now, we have to rearrange this formula. So we're starting here. Tan 40 degrees is equal 3 over a. And we need to isolate that a. How are we going to do it? We are going to do it in 2 steps. First of all, we are going to multiply both sides by a. So now we have a tan 40 degrees, which is equal to 3. And the second step is to divide both sides by tan 40 degrees. So we divide both sides by tan 40 degrees. Okay, so now we have a is equal to 3 divided by tan 40 degrees. And if you were to plug those numbers into calculator, you would find that a, the side that we, actually here I'm gonna rename it to a, the side that we want to know will be equal to 3.57. Okay, so this is how we can use these formulas to find the angle or unknown angle or an unknown side using much less information in general than Pythagoras' theorem. Now, what are these formulas? Well, these formulas exploit, that's just for your curiosity, these formulas exploit the ratios that exist between angle of a triangle and the lengths of its sides. There are some fixed ratios that if a triangle has a certain angle and one of its sides is certain length, then the other sides need to be of a specified length. These ratios tell us basically, these ratios are basically explained by Pythagoras. And this is what we exploit to figure out such questions. So this is it for today, guys. Thank you very much for listening. I really appreciate it, guys. If you want to stay up to date on daily science, maths, and some biomedical science videos, please smash that subscribe button. If you like this video, give it a big old thumbs up.